Hey guys, sorry to end the last live stream. So I'm a real estate agent, and I'm under contract to sell my house so I can move. So and they're being very aggressive. So I'm being aggressive back. So it's a fight. So black women just know when you're selling a home, they see a black woman, they think, "Oh, I'm gonna get all my money out of her, make them work for every single concession." Okay, so I'm telling you, we're setting targets, but they chose the wrong one, right? So we're just going back and forth. But yeah, so I'm Lisa Phillips. I'm a spiritual advisor through my own spiritual growth and evolution. I have learned that Black women are the most powerful beings on this planet. We manifest really amazingly. Um, we are very strong spiritually. We can spiritually defend ourselves to the highest degree. We can spiritually attack those of spiritually fighting us at the highest degree. And I try to empower them with their spiritual gifts and ability. Unfortunate, uh, all of the fact that how powerful we are has been lost through indoctrination and religion and lack of knowledge. And which is done very specifically because if you guys knew how powerful we were, you would not worry about anything in this life. They would be worried about you. So I try to just open you guys up to where you should be going, where you should be studying, what things you should be looking at. Especially being an American, racism is a really big one. I mean, I'm constantly getting them to pay for that. So your coffers are being filled. Like that, there is a spiritual cost to that. And if you have your spiritual knowledge, you know how to tap into that. So it's a little windy, so I'll hold it like this, just so you don't hear all the wind. Yeah, so that is what I do. I try to empower Black women. And so over the last 8 years, since I received my spiritual empowerment and I crafted my spiritual empowerment and I sought out spiritual empowerment, I now know what it feels to have power. And now I have this interesting perspective because once you have power, you can understand other people playing the same power game. And I like to do these little videos just to go, hey, this is what's going on, and this is how you play it. People can play power games all they want. You just need to know how to play it back and get what you want out of it. And so I'm talking about right now in America, palm colored people, they know that in 2025 that um so listen, they've done this before in the past, right? They know in 2045 they're going to be a minority because they're not having as many babies as the combined all the brown people, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, whatnot. They know in 2045 they're going to be the minority. How they've treated everyone, they are scared of that. It is in them. They were made and created as humans for power, right? Americans do that really well. So that's the people here. So they are fearful of that. So now they're playing these power games, but like it is spiritual, it is for control. But and as far as the black community is concerned, of course, we've always been there. We're 13%, but we're always on their mind because they realize how much power they extract from us. They have cultural cachet because of us. They have physical cachet because of us. Them winning the Olympics. They even in wars have cachet because of us. Because some of our airmen are the best airmen. It's just like the Cherokee Indians and their dialect was some of the best warriors in the war, World War II, because no one could crack the Cherokee code, right? So it's all these brown people that make America great, and they know it, and they know that they're now going to be a minority. So extracting resources from us is not as easy. So they're very aware. So I'm going to talk about on the women front and the spiritual control and palm colored women now being the people who need to rise up, and that can be fortunately or unfortunately, because so far they've just laid around and let these men roll over them, and they need to start getting some concessions. Okay, so we're going to get into that. So as far as the brown community, that's why they're trying to go after diversity, equity, and inclusion. They see black women have these businesses. They see that they're not getting paid because when I hire contractors, I don't hire white contractors all the time. I'm hiring Asian, Hispanic, black, and that money that used to all flow into them is flowing into brown hands. They're aware of that. They're retiring early. Now it's their own racism. I can't even tell you how many times they come to my house to like get a job done, and they look at me. You could just tell they think I don't have the money, and then right after them, a Hispanic company or black company got a check for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and their own supremacy and racism blocked them from their blessing. It is so interesting. And when it comes to palm colored women, they're the worst. Like they do not want. I don't know how they're in business because how much they just dislike working for other minorities. It's very interesting, but it's on them. You don't really hear the minority saying that. So we're fine because we don't have supremacy blocking our blessings. We treat people as equals, and they can tell the difference between how I treated them and how that white or that plum colored man or woman treated them, and we get the money each time. So they're aware of that. That's why they're going after like the Fearless Fund because they're like, we don't want you black women having more money, right? So that's spiritual warfare too. I really wish black women would learn how to combat against spiritual warfare because when you have spiritual warfare, you should be combating spiritually. And so I'm just going to leave that at that. Right? Each individual, if they want to do spiritual warfare on you, every black woman should be doing spiritual warfare on every single one. We know their names. We know who they work. Okay? But you guys, you have to accept your power. And that is what I'm here for, to empower black women spiritually. And that is it. Black men as well, but women tend to resonate with my message more. Now, that's on the black person front. So we're always going to be their issue, but that's why you see politically immigration being such a big deal. Right now, all of this power game is about numbers. They do not want these palm colored women not going unaliving their fetuses at Planned Parenthood and doing birth control. So they are targeting what I consider some of the weakest links. They've already got the transgendered. You've noticed with this transgender stuff, with these males going into women bathrooms and stalls, they always do that to Caucasian women. They don't do it to us because they know the fight. We're not going to accept it. So they do it to Caucasian women. So they have these men, transgender women who are men, joining these sports and swimming and skiing, all these palm colored women's sports because they know that they're easier to roll over. So I'm telling my palm colored women, you have the power. Take it, okay? In these power games. So yes, if I were a palm colored woman, seeing all these abortions, like unalivings being taken, the rights being taken from them, but BC birth control rights being taken, at least get some concessions. At least go, we understand you don't want to be the minority, but you need to give us paid maternity leave. Okay, Caucasian women, you need to give us subsidized child care. Get something at it. Get paid leave, get paid equality. You guys are just taking it off the butt, and they knew to go towards you versus black women because they know we're some fighting warrior spirit. But it's on you. These are the power games. I'm not even saying these games are right or not. I'm just saying if Caucasian palm colored women did take their power back, I was like, yeah, we'll stop doing this, but you need to give us this. It would benefit all women. It would all benefit all of America. The only one it wouldn't benefit are these mega corporations who have bought and paid for our government and have created a corrupt big business in America at our expenses. So those are the power games going on. So there's two fronts. There's the numbers game, which is a Caucasian palm colored woman thing. They need to get a hold on. And then there's the money game. The money's not flowing to them. So they don't want more illegal immigrants, who I love because you know what? I never had a racist Hispanic contractor not take my money or give me BS, but I have had Caucasian, especially women, but the men as well, give me BS. So if my power game is if more immigrants come in and I don't have to deal with you guys and your racism, which is 50-50 on when I counter it or not. I want more of the brown immigrants coming in. I do. So, I don't even vote that much, but I might go for Biden just because he's made it very clear who he wants. And I'm just like the black community does not have what it takes in unity to come together and displace that power the way that immigrants have been able to, because immigrants haven't necessarily tried to integrate. They did their own businesses. Now, when you go to construction companies, they can't even get Hispanic workers because the Hispanic owners of businesses now have them. Like, they've completely did a great job of dominating. We just don't have it. So I'd rather they come in and do it. So when it comes to the numbers game, that's on that. When it comes to business, that's why they're going after Fearless Fund or any type of VC that promotes specifically going towards black women. And when they did this, when black people were prospering because of black women in Greenwood and what is it, Rose? There's been very successful black communities that they came in and they lynched and mobbed. They can't do that now because they're trying to pretend they're not racist, right? So what they're doing is like, we don't want you to get any funds whatsoever, even though we know you can't go to a regular VC fund to get money. Although if they did, they'd find out if they dealt with the mothers of creation with their masculine energy that they'd create huge businesses that are very profitable. Whatever, they just they're not awake enough to understand how they block their blessings. So whatever. So that's what's going on. So it's on the women, and I said fortunately or unfortunately, it's on Caucasian women. They can fight, but for some reason, they keep waiting for someone to save them. And I am saying, what Caucasian women, you are the play. They are not giving you maternity leave. They are not giving you more child support. They are not giving you more alimony. In fact, you're paying. They're not giving you better men. They're not giving you maternity leave. They're not giving you subsidized childcare. They're giving you nothing, but they are mandating they use your wombs in their power game. I am telling Caucasian women, if nothing else, get some dang concessions. So if you want us to have more kids, you need to do this, 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 and this, and you will have these Caucasian palm colored babies because that's the power games being played right now. Say it. And so I say fortunately, unfortunately, is because they wait too long before they fight back because they're always waiting for someone to help them. It's that sense of victimhood or entitlement. I don't know what it is. But at least get some dang concessions. Because if y'all get maternity leave and equality pay and child support and alimony and subsidized child care, that helps all of us, sis. You got to fight this one. Black women can't fight this on your behalf. They want your womb. They're just not giving you anything for it. They want you to just keep taking the crap and mediocre men and mediocre marriages that you're not happy in. So it's on you guys. So I don't know. Let them know it's on them to fight. But those are the power games going on right now. And like I said, because of my spiritual gifts and abilities, once you have power, you can finally understand all the games being taking place. And I just come up here and put you guys up on game on what's going on. Now, some things to be worried about. There are some threats. I have noticed it's an energy thing. Caucasian men are noticing this difference. Caucasian women are noticing that, when they walk into a restaurant, are they treated the best? They're treated like everyone else. And to them, that's oppression because they've been treated with privilege. But it's like you're the ones with money. And in fact, this Asian couple have more money and tip better than you do, right? So they're now entering this world. They realize the shift, right? They're realizing, well, why am I getting fired because I was racist off the clock? And these internet justice warriors did that. But they don't understand because they're pawns as well and they don't have that much power, all of them. What they don't realize is that, well, that company, half of its revenue comes from minorities, not you. So they can't have someone racist going to turn off half their customers. But they do realize something's going on. Interestingly, it's like, are they still going to blame black people? So right now, it's like they want Caucasian palm colored women to have more babies, but their marriages are falling apart at horrible rates, and the men want to go their own way. And you have MGTOW and men's rights group who don't want to deal with women anymore. So it's like, well, they're not helping. But on the other hand, they do feel the shifting of power and energy. So I do think there's going to be more tension in these KKK and supremacy groups are going to have a rise and you're going to have these lone wolves because if nothing else, a Caucasian man who feels threatened will fight, right? We know that about their culture. So I just think people need to be very cautious and aware that they are aware of the shift. Now, ultimately, they're not doing what needs to be done to counteract it in a way that's good for everyone because they just don't have that in them. They only understand me, selfishness, which is why America is like on the bottom for Western countries. They don't understand, well, maybe if we give all these things to our women, maybe they would be better women and we wouldn't have to do all this. And, it would be easier to have these babies, right? And our marriages would go better. No, that would mean they'd have to think outside of themselves. Black community is not good at it, and this community isn't always good at it. So, so right now, there's very benevolent ways in which they could fix the issue, but they're not seeing it. They only see violence. Half of them don't even have souls and are NPCs, to be quite honest. And yes, I know this because I battle them, and they're NPCs. It's not a hard battle because they don't have anything on the other side fighting back when they're doing their own spiritual attacks. Um, and yeah, so it's gonna get it's gonna get more violent. Okay, be prepared for yourself. Now I'm prepared spiritually. I don't care if you have a gun. I'm prepared spiritually. You're not gonna touch me. It's just not gonna happen. Well, you can spiritually, which is what most of these things do. But I protect my spirit spiritually. If you are not on that level, even though I keep trying to teach you guys how to do it, I have workshops on spiritual protections. That's level one. There's like 10 levels to this. At least do it physically and arming yourself or learning how to handle yourself and those type of protections. If you're not going to learn your spiritual protections, which we are the best at if you ever learn, which is why I can go pretty much all around the world by myself, and I don't even worry about being touched. In fact, people find out that I'm the predator, at least if they're being racist. So, that is what's going on. So be aware, be cautious when it comes to that segment of society. They see the shift. They see that their kids aren't the best, the smartest. They see that the cultural cachet, everyone's seeing the cultural cachet and the cultural appropriation. They see that they steal the dances, they steal the music, they steal the art, because of TikTok and social media. They see that they steal the culture, that their sports wouldn't be the same sports without us. Everyone is really starting to understand that we were always, the minorities were always the one that really propped up everything in this country, and it just becomes obvious and obvious and obvious. They had this one trend of like, oh, the mob life aesthetic and this, and people were just like, well, you guys get your own culture versus globbing on someone else. Like it's just becoming very obvious that like palm colored Americans, where all the resources were coming from, and they sense that as well. So understand the power games. Tell your Caucasian palm colored sisters, get some concessions. All right, get paid maternity leave if they want you to have these babies, these palm colored babies, so bad. So the number games, don't get them. Y'all need to go ahead and get some concessions, which would help all women. But you have to fight back and stop letting these transgender dominate you in your own games. Y'all need to start walking away. You started finally fighting back after 2 years. What's wrong with y'all? And like I said, they knew not to approach black women with it because they knew we weren't going to play it. So they went after you guys. They consider you the weakest link. You're showing yourself to be the weakest link. Get some concessions. You guys know how to do these caring games with people who are UPS drivers trying to get into a building. Do it with your own men right now, because there's a way out of these power games for everyone to benefit, right? And I'm not worried about them. It's spiritual. There's generational healing going on in this country. So I see the lack of fertility in them as sort of like, well, that's your chosen plan. Your chosen plan was for this community not to have more because you've shown yourself to be unworthy of being able to reverse all the racism that's programmed into your DNA. In which, yes, they do have to pay reparations from spiritual if you know how to tap into that. I do. You guys don't. Whatever. I stay paid. I stay paying you guys too because sometimes I do a lot of things on behalf of all black women, not just myself. So yeah, I hope that was really good. So this is this is what's going on in America. There are power games here in this country. That's what's going on. At least if our Caucasian women can get some concessions, it would be helpful for all women. But they need to understand the game is going and do something instead of waiting for someone to save them. And as far as us, they're trying to go after all of our money and grants and whatnot. And the best thing about it is that they used to do it by blowing up our prosperous places. Now they just see that black women are educated and making money, and now they're going after any people trying to give us funding. The good thing is we don't need the funding to be great. So they can keep trying, but we're mothers of creation. Whatever we put our mind to, we manifest. We're the most powerful at it. So they'll keep trying, just like with the Tower of Babel. They were so surprised that it could happen. Us all working together. But that's what's going on. So just stay awake. There's going to be some more. These are the power games. And once you understand it, you can understand how to vote, how to move, what their goal is, so how you can play it, either get some concessions out of it, or just understand how they're going to be protecting it, and just be a little chill around these crazy palm colored men who understand that like their the their racism and mediocrity has caught up to them. They're not making as much money as they used to, and it's going to other people who worked harder for it because they just thought their Caucasian, their palm coloredness would always protect them, whereas we had to been fighting. We've been getting skills, we've been getting adept, we've been getting educated, we've been networking, we've been being on 10, and what they've done is just not good enough compared to what the minorities have been doing. They understand there's a difference now, so just be aware that they're going to be heightened. Act accordingly, right? I'm not saying placate, I'm just saying just understand they're wild like caged animals, right? So whatever. So yeah, the rise of racism is going to go high. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do once Trump, but I really need to spend some spiritual protections to Letitia because they're gonna see this black woman seizing the assets of Trump. Y'all gotta lose their mind. So everyone spiritually, you can protect people as well as yourself. Send her your spiritual protections and meditations. Um, and just understand what we're walking into, and things are being lit, especially with the Israeli and the Palestinian thing. The world is taking sides, right? Like there's an alignment for and against, and it's very World War III ish. Okay, So just be aware that things are coming to a climax, and you can play the game. You just have to know the game's being played, and what you're either going to get out of it. Are you going to go along with it, or if you're going to go along with it, what do you get out of it, right? So, all right, guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Where am I? Queen Street. Oh, we're close.